My hair always looks terrible on Sunday, and that's why I'm wearing a hat. In other news, Silicon Valley is moving to Texas. Companies like Oracle, Hewlett-Packard, Tesla are relocating their operations to Texas. Other big public figureheads like Elon Musk and Joe Rogan are moving to Texas. I even moved to Texas 3 years ago right out of college. I'm from Ohio, originally the Midwest. I wanted to escape the cold. They told me Texas would be warm year-round. They told me the summers in Texas would be too hot for me to bear. But I'm here to show you it's February 13th, I think, Sunday, and it is snowing in Texas right now. I don't know if we're in a polar vortex. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's flurrying outside, it's freezing. And in this video, I'm gonna talk to you about the pros and cons of moving to Texas. I accepted a tech job right out of school to move here in software sales. Started out as a sales development rep, now I'm an account executive. And I want to talk to you about the top reasons why you should move to Texas and some of the cons that I've experienced being in Texas. Make sure to hit the subscribe button below because it really helps the channel and I would appreciate it. And they say everything's bigger in Texas, so we need to get these subscribers up a little bit. Growing up in Ohio for the first 22 years of my life, I was ready to experience something new. I wanted to get out of the state. I wanted to go anywhere else but Columbus, Ohio. And when I accepted my tech sales job to move to Dallas, Texas, right out of college, I had never been to Texas before, so I have a pretty objective viewpoint of what you can expect to actually experience moving to Texas, some of the pros, some of the cons. I put together that list for you based on my experience and after talking with some of my friends, what they think as well. I want to let you know ahead of time, I'm a little hungover, so my brain's moving pretty slow today, so I hope this video actually proves to be helpful for you. The first pro I could think of is warm weather year-round. I know that there's a polar vortex going on right now and it's snowing and I couldn't possibly imagine going outside, but it's still warmer than the Midwest. It's still warmer than what I experienced in Ohio. My mom texted me and they have 8 inches of snow coming. Here it's about a ½ inch, and when it snows, people legitimately cannot drive or do anything here. So it's pretty bad right now, but traditionally it's warm most of the year. There are those states out there like California, Arizona, Florida that are actually going to be really warm year-round. Texas, it's usually warm most of the time relative to the Midwest and most of the other states. A lot of you who may be watching are just in the Midwest of the country. You're in the Chicagos of the world, you're in the New Yorks, you're in the Northeast. The weather in those places suck, and it's a lot better here in Texas. So that's one of the big advantages you can expect to recognize, especially moving down to Austin as well. It's even further south, so it's traditionally always a couple degrees warmer than it is here in Dallas. It's still, I believe, is snowing there as well today. So that's what you can expect to see. Number 2 pro of moving to Texas is no income tax. This is really gonna be big for wealth creation. A lot of you who watch this channel are new in your career, are looking to get in sales, and you're ambitious, so you wanna make a good amount of money, and you wanna keep a lot of your money. And that's why so many people are leaving California, because this is what you're gonna experience working, and you have your income that you make from your job. That's going to be taxed. That's a federal tax no matter where you live. But in places like California, there's an extra 8 to 12% depending on your income level of just state tax. So if you make $100K a year, you're taking 8 grand off of that just off the top. And that's terrible. It's really hard to make and keep a lot of your money. That's why people move to places like Texas, Florida, Nevada, Tennessee. No income tax means you can really grow your finances a lot quicker. And I've really enjoyed not having an income tax. One con on the side of that is that they amplify some of the other taxes, such as property tax is a bit higher in Texas. And in order to drive on the highway, it's called the tollway here. And essentially you have to pay tolls throughout it. So that's another way they get you. And I think sales taxes is kind of high here, but you don't have an income tax and it can be really good, especially if you're younger and you don't really do anything like me and you just sit in your apartment and make cold calls. I'm able to save and keep a lot of my money. The number 3 pro I could think of is better networking opportunities and able to meet other young people. Being in a big city, things are big here in Texas. Dallas is a big city and there's so many people moving here daily and weekly. Most of my friends here are not from Texas. They moved here. There's so many job opportunities for young people like you and I that there's so many people moving here. There's a lot better networking opportunities. I have friends that are CPAs, accountants, that are bankers, that are in hospitality, all sorts of different industries. And everyone, there's just a collective of different things. And of course, you meet people in your job and your work, but there's so many young people moving here. There's so many networking opportunities, a part of your friend group of people doing so many different things that could help benefit you later in life. One of the last pros I could think of is Dallas, Texas was actually rated one of the top work from home cities. I was reading something on LinkedIn and it was rated the number 3 work from home city. It's relatively warm, there's no income tax, and there's a lot of economic opportunity. It makes working from home good. Also, AT&T is based here. AT&T still sucks, but some of the cons that I thought about moving to Texas for tech sales is commuting. Dallas is one of the worst commuting places. Texas in general is a driving state, especially Dallas. You don't traditionally walk around like you do in the cities like of Chicago and New York and what you could imagine, just walking places. You got to pretty much drive everywhere. Everything's spread out. And commuting, I'm pretty sure the average commute here is about 26 minutes. I was reading some statistic on it. I have to commute. I live downtown Dallas and I commute north up to Plano. And it sucks. I've been working from home, which has neutralized that and improved the quality of my life. But when things get back to normal, the commute may come back, and the commute's terrible. So that's one of the things you have to keep in mind. It's not going to be as bad as the LAs and the New Yorks of the world, but there still is pretty bad commute since everything's spread out. The other con I could think of is more Dallas specific. A lot of people glamorize Austin, the Silicon Slopes. That's where Elon's going. That's where Joe Rogan went. And everyone thinks Austin is just a lot cooler. You have Matthew McConaughey, the director of culture out there. And Austin's cool. I've never actually been there, but it has this perception that it's super cool. I met someone yesterday from Austin, and she was pretty much saying it's cool, but it's not as cool as you think. There is a big lake pond in the middle of the city, which adds to the attractiveness. There's more of a nature scene than Dallas. But it's going to be cool, but it's going to be more of a small city feel. But it is glamorized as like the tech place in Texas. So if you move to Dallas, it's not as tech hubby as Austin or Silicon Valley in California or the Silicon Slopes in Utah. So there's not a great tech scene. There is a lot of tech companies that are based here, but it's not a huge tech scene. So that's one drawback. Those were a lot of the pros and cons I could think of just from a business, economic, career standpoint. Some of the more fun things you're probably wondering about are social scene, food scene, housing, all of that. I think overall Texas is really growing. I think a lot of people are migrating more south, and Texas and Florida are really going to capitalize from that. Of course, California is always going to be relevant, but overall in Dallas, the food scene's great. There's every chain you could ever imagine. There's a lot of local stuff, good barbecue, good Tex-Mex. You're always going to have those great steakhouses. You're always going to have the great seafood. There's plenty of food. Culturally, Dallas, there's always cultural spots where you go and it's just alternative, and there's different neighborhoods, things to do, stuff like that. Social, as I said, there's a lot of young people moving here, good ratio of male to female. There's always going to be that opportunity. You could go out every day if you wanted to. Overall, I think Texas is a great place to live. If you've been thinking about moving here from another state, it's definitely a great quality of life, and I think it's going to continue to get better. I know housing's a little bit more reasonable in Dallas than it is in Austin. So check out Dallas, check out Austin. If you have any questions, definitely ask me in the comments below. I'm happy to answer them based on my own experience. If you found this video helpful or entertaining in any way, make sure to hit the like button below. I'll give you a chance to do that now. Thanks for doing that so much. And yeah, everything's bigger in Texas, so hope to see you here.